Going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode number 31 of the Diego Colley Football Show. And it's been a while. It's been a while since we recorded. I said we'd have 2 episodes last week. Then I realized it was Christmas after I uploaded. Was going to record one on Friday. And I wanted to wait till the Monday night game ended last night to record. So that's why we got this one coming out today, coming out Wednesday morning. And to be decided, but I think I'm going to try to post an episode Friday morning. Mainly just a deep dive into the Seahawks game, Seahawks-Niners preview for that game on Saturday, and to recap the playoff games that are happening on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So plan for today, going to go over everything that happened last week. Only really going to cover the main games that have any sort of implications. Going to cover a few storylines I like that I haven't feel like I've shown enough love to over the last few weeks, last few episodes. And then going to give a little preview of the playoff games. We got Miami, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas Tech, Bama, Indiana, and the Rose Bowl, and Georgia, Ole Miss. So let's get into it. Let's start with the Seahawks versus the Panthers. What happened this weekend? Okay, starting in Carolina, the Seattle Seahawks beat the Carolina Panthers with a final score of 27-10. An ugly game, a game script I feel like we've seen too many times in the last few weeks in the second half of the season from the Seahawks team. And after Sunday night's results, ends up in the Seahawks taking on the San Francisco 49ers on Saturday Night Football. We'll preview that game at the end of the week, but there's a lot of things from this game in the last few weeks and just going from what we've seen, I can't lie, I don't feel great. So starting with this game, this is a 3-3 game at halftime. And if you look at the Seahawks body of work the last 2 weeks, going back to kind of that first Rams game, it's come with a lot of sluggishness in the first half. It really, especially in the offensive end, not on the defensive end. The defense was fantastic in this game. They give up 10 points. They give up 3 points in the first half. That touchdown came, it's hard to call it garbage time. It was at a point when it was 17-3. They make it 7-10 and they shut them out the rest of the way. I believe the Panthers averaged 2.2 yards per play. Bryce Young had 54 yards passing. He has 14 completions, 24 attempts, 1 interception. They had a forced fumble. They had 2 turnovers forced. Turnover battle was even as Darnold lost a fumble and to an interception. And the defense did their job. I have nothing bad to say about the defense. They only got 2 sacks. Only thing you could really say is I feel like, in my opinion, the pass rush kind of failed to get home a lot recently. It just feels like they haven't had the results they had in the early season. And the defensive line is playing great, especially in the run game. I think Murphy and Williams are both playing outstanding. But 15 pressures, two total sacks. It kind of just felt like a game where you could get to the quarterback a little more. And Bryce did well to escape the pocket. A few of their most successful plays when he escaped the pocket and either ran for a first down or dumped it off to someone else. But it just felt like the pass rush has been kind of lacking, especially at the edges in the last few weeks. And there was no Derek Hall in this game. I think it was a stupid ruling. He kind of trips over him. Like he clearly hits his back leg on Kevin Dotson's leg. And then that's why he has to put that second foot down. It makes it look like he stepped on him, whatever. I think it's BS. But to the offensive side of the ball, there's so much to not like about what you saw in this game, what you've seen in the last few weeks when they start off slow. And it just starts in the pass game. Carolina pressured Darnold 17 times, sacked 3 times, he turned it over twice. He has not been great. And obviously that's not the craziest statement in the entire world. But that's what's going to hold the Seahawks back. That's what's going to be their Achilles heel from potentially bouncing them in the playoffs or potentially not being able to secure that first round bye this weekend. And I have so many gripes with the way this passing game has looked in the last few weeks. He goes 18-27, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. It just feels like, and I know there's some point to say about the offensive line. Obviously, Josh Jones still playing at left tackle. He didn't have his best game. I thought he definitely had a better game against the Rams. But the offensive passing game is so vanilla right now, and there's no threat deep. There's nothing that opposing teams are looking at like, we need to watch out for that. We can't get beat over the top. I mean, just looking at Sam Darnold's passing chart from this game, I need to see what his average depth of target was in this football game. Because it felt like, I don't even know if he took a shot past 20 yards down the field. And looking at it, he didn't. The only pass attempt that was further than 20 yards down the field was the interception he threw to Mike Jackson in the back left corner of the end zone. a play where it's a double move in the red zone. Like they're on probably around the 20-yard line. The ball's going to the back of the end zone. JSN runs a post corner, I believe it was, or some sort of out and up, and he's not open at all. Mike Jackson never bites on the fake. He just drops back into his zone, or whether he's playing man to man or not, he doesn't fall for it at all. And Sam still throws it. And I believe the interception came with at a time when I think it was second down. I don't think it was third down. I know it wasn't fourth down. This was the first play of the first drive of the second half. The Seahawks are driving down. It's 3-3. They come out at halftime. They put together a good drive. Charbonnet has an explosive run, and it's actually, second and 10. This is just a play he needs to get rid of. Like, he needs to realize that. I mean, I think he knows it. Like, it's dumb to say, like, he needs to realize this defense is so good. He knows the defense is good, but go take your shots. Okay, I'm fine with you taking shots and those being intercepted. This cannot be a play where you throw an interception, quite honestly. I think that we haven't taken a deep shot in weeks. I can't even remember the last time that Darnold took a shot deep to JSN. They haven't taken a single shot deep to Shaheed, and I feel like I've said this every single episode, like the last 2 or 3 weeks that I've recorded. There's no deep passing game. The deep passing game that was there so much early in the season is not there anymore. It's just so much. It's just slants, it's curls, it's stuff happening at the line of scrimmage, stuff happening within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. It's been poor. It's been really, really bad. And I don't know I think it's probably a Kubiak thing because I see these play action bootleg that they're trying to run. Defenses are guarding it well. In the first half of this game against the Panthers, I thought they were playing the edges very well. Every time it felt like Sam was booting, there was a guy in his face right away. So he either had to dump it off quickly or readjust and kind of get rid of the ball. There was nowhere where he had even had time to set up or it looked like he was taking a shot deep. But you need to threaten them. The run game was good in this game. That's the one positive type of thing. It still doesn't give me the most confidence as that it can be a consistent running game. I haven't seen that yet. But, I mean, Charbonnet goes for 110, 18 carries, 2 touchdowns, his best game in probably a year since last year's game against Arizona when he had that start and he broke off that long 60-yarder. He goes 110, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth goes 15 carries, 51 yards. He tags on the receiving game, 2 for 6. Charbonnet was 2 for 12. But this receiving game has been poor. JSN goes 9 for 72 in this game, 12 targets. AJ Barner has been the second best receiver on this team, and that's not a bad thing. I love AJ Barner. He's been the consistent guy underneath. He's been great run after the catch, probably one of the best guys on the team running after the catch. 3 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. But Cooper Kupp has been pretty disappointing on the field. I understand the intangibles he brings to the locker room, but there was a play during this game where it's dropped by him and it gets pushed back. It should have been picked off and it's dropped by Derek Brown, I believe, the defensive tackle. But you can't be doing that. And then the week before he has the ball where he fumbles going up to the red zone against the Rams. Those aren't plays that the veteran receiver should be making. He is brought in to be the reliable guy, and he did make a great catch. His only catch in this game, one reception, 6 yards. I believe it was a third down. The ball was a bit behind him. He had to move his hands down below, and he makes a great snag there. But I need more from him. And Shaheed goes out to concussion. It was a dirty play by Mike Jackson. If he can't play this weekend in San Francisco, I think they're in trouble in the passing game. Just thinking back, I'm going to do the full deep dive for Friday's show. But thinking back to the first game of the season, when it was just the stalemate on offense against the Niners, that feels like what I've seen a lot in the last few weeks. It feels like the same recipe. They're scared to take deep shots. In that game, they were scared of Bosa. They didn't want to give him too much time to impact the game. He ends up making the biggest play of the entire game. And on that last drive of the game, when they moved all in the field, they hit JSN on the sideline. It was when they finally started to push the ball. They haven't done anything like that. In that game, it was different because they didn't go under center. They felt like they were scared to run the play actions. They didn't really run them. But just kind of like the short underneath checkdowns, Darnold gets to his third foot, the third step in his drop, dumps it off quickly. It's not Darnold's passing chart looks like a Bo Nix passing chart, which is so much different than what it was for the majority of the first half of the season. And it gives you zero threat in the defensive secondary. Robert Saleh is an elite defensive coordinator. If this is the same game plan you go into this game against San Francisco, you're going to be in trouble. Um, but more on this Panthers game. It was just such another frustrating game to watch because the defense was playing so well. They forced punts on the first 3 drives, a turnover on downs on the 4th drive, give up a field goal, and that was it. Like they I mean, just looking at total yards in this game, what do we got there? We have the Panthers had 139 total yards on 11 drives, 2.7 yards per play. Sorry, not 2.2. The defense was so elite, and they're going to keep you in every single game. But this is going to be a different test coming up this week with San Francisco and Purdy and Shanahan. You're going to need more than 3 points in the first half for this offense because you can't fall behind in this game against San Francisco. Shanahan's too good of a play caller. It's just a different beast. It's a different beast than this team that you just played in the Panthers. And luckily, because the Rams lost, which we'll talk about, even if the Seahawks do lose on Saturday, they're locked in the 5th seed, so they'd either be going back to Carolina or revenge versus Tampa Bay. But I don't like the way that they've came out and started games. And the team's 13-3. Like, obviously, the team is great. The team's one of the best teams in the entire NFL, Super Bowl favorite for some people. But this offensive effort that we've seen in these games and these turnovers, Sam Darnold leads the league in turnovers, leads the entire league. He's more than Geno Smith. I'm not sure who the second next guy is, but he leads the league by a few turnovers. It's not a close margin. I believe he has 19 or 20 now, and that's stuff that's going to lose you games in the playoffs. If you match up against the Niners in the playoffs, if you match up against the Rams in the playoffs, I know he's done it in both games, but a back-breaking turnover in a drive when you need points so you can't give up a short field when your defense is playing well is going to lose you games. And it feels like so many of these balls are getting tipped. The fumble I thought was a weird call. I didn't think I thought it looked incomplete to me, but I mean, it's a turnover play. He gets hit in the pocket and it's a turnover. You can't turn the ball over this much. With this defense, even if you get 0 points on some of these drives, a punt is so much better than a turn. With Michael Dixon, with what he's able to do, one of the best punters in the entire league. Even if he's there was one punt in this game I thought was fantastic. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but he puts them all the way back on their 30, and we're punting from inside our own 20. I know that for sure. He's a weapon. Let him punt the ball. Kick 3 points. Jason Myers has been one of the best kickers in the entire NFL this year. Take 3. They just haven't been able to overcome the turnover hump. And I think Clint Kubiak's kind of fallen off a cliff recently. I don't think he's called his best game. Even that Rams game, he had good play calls. That doesn't mean he called a good game. The Colts game, I didn't think he called a great game there either. This is 4 weeks in a row. The Atlanta game where they have a bad first half of football. The Vikings game where you fail to get JSN involved. The Colts game where you don't score a touchdown and Jason Myers and your defense bail you out of that game. The Rams game where you kind of sleepwalk for multiple drives of the game and Shaheed gets you back into it. And then this one where 3-3 at halftime against the Panthers. Let JSN is open almost every play. Obviously, he has 12 targets, 9 receptions, 72 yards. Give him a shot down the field. And then when they're trying to draw one up in the red zone, Sam just forces it. He has to be better there. And the Seahawks are Super Bowl favorites, so it sounds like I'm angry for no reason, but it's just me being critical because some of these games are going to be the reason that you lose playoff games. And there's a clear reason why. If the Seahawks lose a playoff game and get bounced in a game they're not supposed to get bounced in, I think everyone knows what the formula is going to be. It's not because the defense didn't get stops when they need to or because Mike McDonald got outcoached. I don't think that's ever going to be the case. And I think this Saturday is going to be a great test for him, but it's going to be because the offense couldn't capitalize on the defense's game and because they turn the ball over. They lead the league in turnovers. They're the Super Bowl favorites. How crazy is that? So a win's a win against Carolina. And I think it's when you kind of just flush down the toilet. They win in different ways. And I think that's fine. That's good that you're able to win in different ways in the National Football League. Every game script's not going to be the exact same, but just some of the fashion of some of these halves of football that they're playing on offense is so frustrating. So they win's a win on to next week. They're not watching much film in this Carolina game, but they're on to San Francisco in the biggest game of their entire season. Okay, next up, we'll go to Saturday. Or no, we'll go to Christmas Day. I'm only going to talk about one of these games. We had the Cowboys and Commanders in the morning. Dak looks good. Josh Johnson plays for the Commanders. They win 30-23, the Cowboys. And then in the afternoon, the Broncos play the Chiefs. The Broncos, just a classic Broncos victory, sleepwalking to victory, 20-13. The defense does what they can do, only holding 13 points. Chris Oludekon, 13 to 22, 66 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Just kind of a jarring stat line to see from an NFL quarterback. And Bo Nix 26 completions for 182 yards. The average depth of target there has to be ridiculous. I'm going to check it out right now. But that's just kind of a classic Broncos game with what you're going to get. They're going to hang around with the team that they shouldn't hang around with. They were 14-point favorites. And there was a point in this game when they were tied, I believe, in the fourth quarter. It was 13-13 with 8 minutes to go, and the Broncos go on a scoring drive. The Chiefs can't score to capitalize, and kind of that's how the game ends. But yeah, wow. I mean, if you saw what I saw from Darnold was bad, Bo Nix dropped back, I believe, 36 times. Yeah, 38 times. And he only had two targets past 20 yards. One was just at 22, an incompletion's out of bounds, and one was an incompletion up the left sideline at 25 yards. He also threw an interception at 19 yards. Just check down. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 completions in the backfield. That team, I don't know if they're going to win a playoff game. I mean, the defense is great, but there's a game script out there where the defense gets schemed up on a few times. And if Bo doesn't have his best stuff, like he had in that, there's been a few games where Bo's looked good, but if he doesn't have his best stuff, they're going to get bounced. And Sean Payton's going to have to coach a hell of a game on offense each game in the playoffs. He's going to have the script of his life when he goes into these football games. But the game I do want to talk about is the Lions and Vikings. What a disaster from the Lions, and what a disaster from Jared Goff. The season from hell is over. They've been eliminated from the playoffs, and they lose 23-10 to the Minnesota Vikings to Max Brosmer at home. And Max Brosmer had a net of 3 passing yards. That is because he was 9 of 16 for 51 yards, and was sacked 7 times for 48 yards in negativity. What a stat line that is. Justin Jefferson leads the team in receiving with 4 receptions for 30 yards. Aaron Jones, 3 for 10. Josh Oliver, 1 for 8. Jalen Naylor, one target, 0 receptions. Same with Addison. And Jordan Addison's their leading rusher with 65 yards rushing, 1 carry, 1 touchdown. And that was the game-clinching play towards the end. It was a great call by KOC. And that ended it. That ended the game, put them up 10. Then Detroit fumbles again. And that was the story for Detroit in this game. Jared Goff's just turnover problems. He was just flat out fooled. These weren't unlucky. When you turn the ball over 6 times, it's not unlucky. Jahmyr Gibbs has a fumble. Goff has 3 fumbles, and he throws 2 interceptions. That's 5 impacted on his own. And I'll give it to Brosmer. He didn't turn the ball over once. That is, I mean, in a game like this, if you do that, that's going to win you the football game. When your defense is playing so good, this was a Brian Flores masterclass. He pressured Goff. Goff was clearly uncomfortable. His balls bouncing off his helmet. They're going under center on 4th and 1. He's dropping the snap. It was just a disaster all around. It was horrible. It was horrible to watch because the Lions were. I mean, it's not like they were moving the ball crazy amounts. Like they stopped the run. This wasn't just a turnover-led game, but they felt like they just, the Lions are going to break through here, that they're done turning the ball over. Once it gets to 5, it's like, are you going to turn it over again? No. Minnesota had 20 pressures for 6 sacks. Detroit had 16 pressures for 6 sacks on their own. It was, I don't even know what to say about this game. Like, it was a Brian Flores masterclass. Jahmyr Gibbs only had 17 carries for 41 yards. Montgomery was 10 for 25. Multiple times they're in the red zone and just get stopped. Even the drive when they scored their only touchdown of the game, it's on a 4th down play after they're getting stuffed at the goal line after Montgomery gets stuffed multiple times from the 2. They have to go for a 4th and 1. They barely get it there. It was just Brian Flores is an elite defensive coordinator, and it kind of shows the frustration with this Vikings season because this defense is really, really good, and they still won 8 games. I mean, Max Brosmer has won his last 2 weeks of football. Last week coming in for McCarthy, they scored 23 points on offense, 16 points last week. They've won 4 in a row. But just that middle part of the season, they lose 4 in a row. The stretch of losing 4 in a row, they have a stretch of when they lose 6 of 7 losses. Lose to the Steelers by 3, lose to the Falcons week 2, lose to the Bears by 2. It's just, this was a major, major missed opportunity for a really good roster, a roster that won 14 games last season, I believe, and is not going to make the playoffs this year with a great defense. It's just a missed opportunity. And it goes back to the quarterback situation because the defense can't play like this every week. A week when they shut down a really, really good Lions offense. The Lions going into the offseason, I think that they needed to find an offensive coordinator. The Dan Campbell calling plays run was cool. It was cool, honestly, at the beginning. I thought it was interesting. It was kind of surprising to see from them. But he needs someone to coordinate the offense the way he wants it to be run so he can do what he does best, which is be the motivator, which is be the guy to hype up his team, which is being the strong presence on the sideline. His game he wasn't brought there to be the offensive mastermind. And he had to take over due to circumstances this year. The stuff just wasn't humming the way he wanted it to be, but that's not where he thrives. And that's where the Lions need to rid of, in my opinion. So, I mean, a good win for the Vikings on Christmas Day. You eliminate a rival, a division rival. That's always nice. But an overall season of missed opportunities for both these teams. Both these teams sitting at 8-8. Two teams that were in the playoffs last year with both of them had 13, 14 wins, I believe. And now both of them will be sitting on the couch come late January. All right, up next, we'll go to Saturday. Texans-Chargers. I'm going to keep it quick on this one because there are two teams that are both in the playoffs. The Chargers had an opportunity to win this game and have Week 18 be for the division against Denver. And they played a bad game of football. They got down to a quick 14-0 deficit. And they battled back, though. They got 3 before halftime. It was 14-3 going into the half. Defense was playing well a majority of the football game. Seems like they kind of they made things hard for CJ Stroud. He threw for 244 yards, had the 2 early passing touchdowns to Noel and Higgins, but he threw 2 interceptions. They made it hard on him. They tricked him. They forced the turnovers, but just missed opportunities. Dicker, the kicker, who's been one of the best kickers in the entire NFL the last few years, misses a chip shot field goal. He misses a field goal from 32 yards, something that he hasn't done in his career ever. And in the second half, when they have an opportunity to make it a 3-point game, to make it 20-17 and get a stop and get the ball back, he misses an extra point. I believe he'd only missed one the entire year, maybe one in the last 2 years. That's weird stuff. That is weird to see because NFL kickers don't miss 32 yards. This isn't college. These aren't like 20-year-old kids. These are professionals. They do not miss kicks under 40. So that was weird to see because that was an opportunity where they had an interception thrown. Aranda Gadsden, I thought, had a horrible game. They're inside the red zone, and Herbert throws over the middle to Gadsden, bounces off his fingertips right into Alshire's hands, and it's an interception, and that was a chance to go down 14-7, and then Stroud throws his pick, and then Dicker misses his field goal. So it could have either been 14-10, or 14-6 going into half, and it was neither. And they go down 17-3 in the second half, and this is when Herbert kind of started to turn it on. He was doing it all with his legs. Texans were making it really, really difficult on him. Something that they're going to do against anyone that they really have to play in this entire season. This is not a team you want to face in the playoffs. The offense can have some trouble, but this defense is so good. They had 28 pressures. Will Anderson had 5 on his own, 1 sack. They had 6 sacks as a team. Derek Barnett had 2 sacks. Daniil Hunter had 7 pressures, 1 sack. And Nico Autry had 4 pressures and 1 sack of his own. Sheldon Rankins had 5 pressures too. The entire D-line is just eating. They're so good. The secondary is so good. Derek Stingley Jr., he's elite. You got Kamari Lassiter, he's elite. Jalen Petrie, underrated safety, plays in the nickel for them. It just all around, this is a really, really good defense, one of the best in the entire league. And, I mean, they're going to keep you in every game. Similar to the Seahawks, similar to the Broncos. There's 3 teams with elite defenses that have flaws on the offensive end that if the offense just does its job and stays out of its own way, it doesn't trip themselves up, they're going to be really, really hard to beat. But it's going to come down to which offensive play caller can make the right calls, which quarterback can stay out of his own way, cannot make these turnovers, on who's going to be out of these teams can make a run to the Super Bowl. So it was a big win for Houston. Kind of a classic game script for the Texans that you can expect. Stroud makes some turnovers. They overcome them. They ran the ball decently well in this game. Woody Marks had 19 carries for 71 yards. Didn't get the end zone there. Good to see the 2 rookie wide receivers getting in the end zone, both the second-round picks at Iowa State. A quiet day for Nico Collins. I think it needs to be more of an emphasis for him is he needs more than 4 targets. 3 receptions, 57 yards. You have to throw to him like he's a number 1 receiver. He needs at least 8 targets. There's no reason for that. A big day for Quentin Johnston, 5 for 98. That's kind of what we saw from early season Quentin Johnston. And they need to get Ladd and Keenan Allen back involved. It feels like the last few weeks I've watched the Chargers, there's been a big like gap of where's Keenan Allen been? Keenan Allen, he's still healthy. He's not injured. He was the reliable 3rd down guy that Herbert was going to, these intermediate distances, these big downs, these sideline catches, and he hasn't been there. And Ladd obviously has been a disappointment this year. I don't even know if he's had a single game over 100 yards. Let me check that. He's had 2. Okay. So he had 2 Pittsburgh in week Pittsburgh on Sunday night, he had 4 receptions, 107, and Miami early in the season, 7 for 100. But recently, I mean, Vegas, 39 yards, Philly, 12 yards, Kansas City, 20 yards, Dallas, 43 yards, and Houston, 31 yards. I mean, they're winning a lot of these games, but again, he's another one of those guys that can be the reliable guy underneath. Quentin Johnson can be that big play guy. He can lead you in receiving, but Lad needs to have more than 1 reception in 2 targets, in my opinion. Keenan Allen, 3 targets. Will Dissly has 2 targets. Amarian Hampton has 8. He had 8 receptions for 31 yards, but you got to get these receivers involved. You have a trio of receivers, and you need to use all 3. So a tough loss for the Chargers, but this gives them an opportunity to reset, rest in Week 18, kind of like a bye week. Doesn't really matter what happens, and set up for the first round of the playoffs. Up next, we will talk about the AFC North. What a division that we have here. We'll start with the Saturday night game. You have the Ravens versus the Packers. This felt like a trap spot for the Packers. Both quarterbacks out. Malik Willis is starting for the Packers. Snoop Huntley starting for the Ravens. A must-win game for the Ravens. And this was, I saw a tweet. I can't remember who tweeted it, but it was like the script of this game was just John Harbaugh saying, I messed up the entire year, because this was what we've been wanting to see. This was just feeding Derrick Henry and him being the unstoppable force that he is. He's not washed. He's had some fumble issues, but he carried the ball 36 times for 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was just the Derrick Henry show, and there was no reason for it not to be. The Packers gave you no reason to stop running the ball. And during this season, there have been times where they go a drive and they look like this, and then they go away from Henry for drives or quarters or however long it is. No matter what, if he fumbles, no matter, who cares? You can't go away from this guy. You cannot go away from this guy no matter what the game script is telling you, because he's going to move you down the field with ease. Zay Flowers had 4 receptions for 30 yards. I got to give it to Snoop Huntley. He was 16 for 20, 107 yards, 1 touchdown. The Ravens dominated them on offense. This was one of the best games on offense they played the entire year, with Lamar or without. I don't know if they punted in this game. They punted 1 time. It was in the third quarter. It was 27-17. I mean, Derrick Henry had 4 touchdowns. That's all you really need to say. It was just clockwork. And the Packers are playing with the banged up defense. No Micah Parsons, obviously, but this was a dominant game by the Ravens. They were majority healthy, besides Lamar, obviously. But Huntley did his job. 16 of 20. He didn't turn the ball over. That's what you can't do when you're a backup quarterback in a game like this. And I have to give it to him. And they gave themselves a position where the Steelers had to lose on Sunday, playing the Browns. Who knows? But they gave themselves a chance. And on the Packers side, I want to give Malik Willis a compliment. Malik Willis is going to make some money this offseason. He is going to make some money, whether it's to be in a quarterback competition. I think he's going to be a guy maybe with the Raiders where they're going to draft Mendoza. They need a guy to kind of be there to start, or kind of a team that is ready to maybe a Cardinals type team, a Dolphins type team. He's going to be able to go into training camp with a chance to compete or with the starting job in his hands based on what we've seen. He was great in this game, and they lost 41-24. Like, okay, but he was 18-21, 288 yards, 1 touchdown, 9 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. And they weren't really running the football. He had the most carries, 9 for 60. Emmanuel Wilson had 3 carries for 16 yards. Josh Jacobs had 4 for 3. That's never really great to see. But the game script they were throwing in. He was ripping it. Only 3 incompletions the entire day. Didn't put in, he lost a fumble, but he played a great game of football. And he earned himself some money on this night. But a great win for Baltimore. And it kind of just showed, like, it's not that hard. When you have a beast on your team like Derrick Henry, you don't need to take him off the field in any situations for the most part. So let's go to the Steelers. The Ravens set themselves up. Snoop Huntley says he's going to call Shador after the game. And the Cleveland Browns pull it off to set up a titanic AFC North matchup in Week 18, Sunday Night Football, Steelers versus Ravens. Shador Sanders leads them to victory. The defense leads them to victory. I mean, he was 17-23, 2 interceptions. He threw a horrible interception. He's fun to watch, though. He's not putting up the greatest stats, but he's got them to some wins, and he has them in games, and the defense has them in games. Obviously, it's not all Shador, but they just have kind of this moxie with him at the quarterback position, and that's what you kind of need to run a team. I'm not saying he's the future. I'm not saying they don't draft a guy, but he's playing with this moxie, man, and it's fun. It's fun to see that touchdown to pass to Fannin. It was ugly. It was a duck, but it got there, and he goes and celebrates with him. Hopefully, Fannin's okay. I'm not sure the report on that, but he's been an absolute revelation. He's going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL next year. And they did it without a run game. Dylan Sampson, 11 for 27, Shador 4 for 20. There's no Judkins there, so anyone there taking carries. And what a disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Did this not feel like a letdown spot for Pittsburgh, though? This was kind of the classic Mike Tomlin, this underdog. I believe I saw they've only won one game since the year 2000 in Cleveland without Ben Roethlisberger. They just haven't been able to get the monkey off their back. And it felt like one of those games where if the NFL is not rigged, but the NFL is going to do whatever they can to have this game in Week 18 matter. And boy, is it gonna. I think the problem here is there's a few things you got to look at. DK Metcalf, he gets suspended for the last 2 games of the season, punching a fan in the stands during the game. And you're looking at like, okay, they're gonna beat the Browns. It's not gonna matter. He'll be there for the playoffs. All of a sudden, they might, if they lose to Baltimore, his season's over. And you not having your number one receiver that you're paying $30 million a year in either of the games where you needed to win one to make the playoffs is brutal. And it's a horrible look for him. He really, really cost his team. No matter what happens this week, he has made it so difficult on this team. Because don't you think they would have wanted him in this game? Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who's been on at least 3 rosters this entire year. I know he was on the Seahawks. He's on San Francisco. He has 9 targets in this game. He's your leading target getter. 3 receptions, 21 yards on 9 targets. In the last 2 plays of the game, you're throwing him a back shoulder fade. There's got to be a better play call in the book than that. You're throwing MBS, a guy that wasn't on your roster at the beginning of the season, a back shoulder fade ball in the end zone, a 50-50 fade ball with a chance to go to the playoffs on 4th and goal. And Rodgers was dealing on that drive. I'm not like he fit some balls in the tight windows there, but those are a poor effort on the last 2 plays of the game. Going to MBS on both of them, I think that's kind of unacceptable from them. I think that you could have gone a Freiermuth. I like a lot more things than MBS 2 plays in a row. You could have gone to Jonnu. I know Donald Washington got hurt. That's kind of the big play, big body, 50-50 ball guy, but it can't always be a fade ball, Aaron. He loves to throw them. I know he does, but you can go to Gainwell. Gainwell's been one of your best receiving backs this entire year. He used 3 receptions for 12 yards on only 4 targets. Adam Thielen got 5 targets, another guy who wasn't on your roster at the start of the year. And DK Metcalf has royally screwed these guys. And there's also roster construction. Just no receiver depth at all on this team. But that's to each their own. And Mike Tomlin lost this football game. He says after the game, he thought they played a good game. No, you should have won this football game. You gave up 13 points to Cleveland. And you couldn't get in the end zone once. I believe it was 2 field goals. Yeah, 2 field goals. You couldn't get in those one. You're losing the entire game, and Rodgers can't get you down the field to win this game. And Boswell missed the kick, missed the 54-yard to start the quarter. That's obviously important. But 2 straight drives where you turn it over on downs. They were lucky to get that chance at the end of the game. They turn it over on downs on their own 20, and Shador can't get a first down. They kick the field goal to go up 6 or to go up 7. But just sloppiness from Pittsburgh. And now all of a sudden they're underdogs at home in Week 18. And to not make the playoffs with this Steelers roster could be the nail in the coffin for Mike Tomlin. I don't know if they would do it, but I know a lot of Steelers fans already feel that way. Mediocrity every week. Every year, never really breaking through that there's no real ceiling. There's a floor, and the ceiling is right above the floor. There's not really a way to get extended above it. And it's gonna be interesting. It's Sunday night. It shouldn't be Sunday night. It should be Saturday night. The Seahawks game should be Sunday night. It's a much better game, but I'm interested to see how that plays out because there's gonna be no Darnell Washington there, no DK. Obviously, they're gonna have to find a way to manufacture some offense against a Ravens team that they're hot right now. I don't know if Lamar's gonna play, but even if it's Snoop can do the job, and it's gonna be Derrick Henry. It is going to be Derrick Henry. So that's all I got in that division type sense, obviously, but. Wow, what a circus in the AFC North. All right, before we get into the last few games of the slate, there's a few storylines I want to talk about. First one is Phil Rivers. Phil Rivers, I didn't get a chance to talk about him ever since that Seahawks game that he started, the game when he has a short week. He gives them a touchdown in the game. He leaves the field with them having the lead in that football game. And obviously Myers makes the kick. He throws the interception in the game, but I didn't get a chance to talk after the 49ers game, and I really wanted to. I already recorded the episode. I already hit post. That 49ers game was fun, man. It was fun to see Phillip Rivers out there getting himself into a bit of a shootout with Brock Purdy. That game was all in the Colts defense. The Colts defense was an absolute disaster in that football game. Phil was through 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was begging the defense to get him a stop. They're down 7 at half. They're in the game. The Niners score. They're down 14. They get 3, they're down 11. The Niners get 3, they're down 14. He leads them to a touchdown drive. They're only down 7 to start the fourth quarter. and they just couldn't get a stop. They score, they got on 14, he throws the pick six, and the game was practically over at that point. But it was fun to see him out there just navigating the game, making checks at the line, and just it was cool to see him out there getting his praise. Fully deserved for Phillip Rivers. And even this week against Jacksonville, I mean, he didn't have the best stat line. He can't really push the ball on the field. He's trying. He puts his all into every throw that's past 20 yards. But he he gave him chances to win all three games. The crazy thing is, like, all three games that he played, he had a shot. Like, they had a chance to win every single game. And whether it was him that made the turnover, the defense couldn't get stops. That felt like a big theme. But he had him in it, and it was fun. It was fun to see Phillip Rivers out there. I mean, I assume this is the last ride. He's not starting this weekend. They're giving Riley Leonard a start. I don't think anyone's giving 45-year-old Phillip Rivers a shot next year, unless it's maybe the Colts. But that was awesome, and I just had to give him a little shout out because I didn't get to give him his flowers ever since that Seahawks game. Another one is Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck was a guy who he wasn't my favorite quarterback coming out of the draft. I didn't really love just kind of him and the intangibles. He's an older guy. He's born in 99, so he's 26 right now. Like, he's older than some guys that have been in the league for multiple years. But, and then I liked Rattler. I liked what Rattler was giving him. And I kind of just so on the move. And he has come in and shown that the Saints aren't drafting a quarterback this year. Tyler Shuck has been a revelation. He's given, like, motivation. Like, he's kind of lit up that city. I see Saints fans talking online. Like, they love them some Tyler Shuck. And he's showing some stuff, man. Like, he has been a stud. And these are, like, obviously they're making their draft pick worse. And sometimes when you're tanking, it's like, why are we winning these games? Like, these don't matter. There's a bunch of veterans leading the team. If you're a Saints fan, you will far and away sacrifice a few picks in the draft. As right now, they'd be sitting at what? They're sitting at 8. You'll sacrifice a few spots in the draft for these wins that Tyler Shuck's given you. These last 4 weeks, beating Tampa Bay, beating Carolina, two teams that are in the playoff race. You're knocking off division rivals with your rookie quarterback. He's leading you to these comeback victories. You beat the Jets by a lot. And then this Titans game, a game when you have guys banged up, you're losing in the game, you're down 3-7 and multiple points this entire second half. And he leads you on this epic comeback. He has been electric. I have loved what I've seen from Tyler Shuck. He's not phased. He's making big boy throws. He's rushing the ball. I mean, he throws for 333 and 2 touchdowns this week against the Tennessee Titans. Like, he is showing stuff, man. And I mean, that Jets game last week, throws for 308, 32 for 49. He's like slinging it. 1 touchdown. The Panthers game, 272, 24-32, 1 touchdown. Doesn't turn the ball over. He hasn't turned the ball over in 3 weeks with any interceptions. He beats Tampa Bay. I just had to talk about how much I love Tyler Shuck. He's fun to watch. He's making the Saints fun to watch. Olave was a guy who just kind of just disappeared, and it felt like, I mean, he talked about he's on the verge of retirement due to these concussions, and he's brought him back to be a number 1 receiver. I mean, 8 for 119, 1 touchdown last week. I just had to talk about Tyler Shuck and how much I've loved Tyler Shuck. I've loved his interviews. He's got some charisma, and he's making the Saints are a great franchise, and he is bringing some real juice back to them. So I just had to talk about that. I love to see that. Eagles-Bills. A game that didn't really it mattered for seeding. The Bills had a slight chance at the 1 seed. Their loss ends up giving the Patriots the win of the division, which is massive for the New England Patriots. They were probably going to wrap it up anyway. They were going to win next week, but still a big deal. And the Eagles, a team that had kind of been fluttering, looking for some momentum, kind of playing for seeding here. They're going to be the 5 seed, it looks like. But an important game no less. This is 2 good teams matching up. And this was a weird one. 13-12. Jalen Hurts doesn't complete a pass in the second half. He has 7 attempts. Those are 110 yards. The weather's horrible. Saquon, 19 for 68. James Cook, 20 for 74. And it just comes out like the Bills offense starts too slow. Quite frankly, the Eagles defensive line, Vic Fangio had a great plan for Buffalo and for Allen in this game. And they kind of wake up in the second half and the offense cannot get anything going. Strictly punts. Just looking at this, 1, 2, 3, 4 of their 6 drives were 3 and outs. 4 of their 5 drives, because the last one was just them taking a knee, were 3 and outs. They're begging the Bills to come back in this football game. And Josh Allen, the last 2 drives of the game, leads them on these electric touchdown drives. The first one, they get him down there, and the extra point gets blocked. They were down 13-6 An extra point there means a touchdown wins the game, and it gets blocked by Jalen Carter, that monster up front. He had a few monstrous plays in this game. And the last drive was a vintage Josh Allen drive. Gets them all the way down, scores with 5 seconds to go, and they go for two. Going two is the right call. You don't want to play overtime. You don't need to play overtime. And what do you know? Josh Allen, banged up, foot injury and all, has Khalil Shakir wide open in the back of the end zone, and he just flat out misses him. And it's a throw that Josh Allen makes 99 times out of 100, I'd say. Like, that's not even a crazy thing to say. It is. And he just flat out misses him. It was weird to see. It's not like there was a guy, he had some guys running at him, but he didn't get touched when he made the throw. And Josh missed him. That's all I can really say there. This puts the Bills at 11-5. Eagles are at 11-5. It was a good football game, gritty football game, a weird one. Playoff level weather, playoff level atmosphere, but probably gonna be the last game in Highmark Stadium for Buffalo ever. Or no, this weekend will be the last game because they're not gonna host the playoff game. So that's kind of crazy for them. But it was a good game. It was a good, interesting football game. But Josh Allen needs to get healthy because the only way that this Bills team makes a run. The defense isn't great, I don't think. I think they have flaws on defensive end. They have flaws on the outside at receiver. If he's not at 100%, they're not going to win a play. They might win a playoff game. They're not going to make a deep run in the playoffs because they're obviously going to have to win 3 to get to the Super Bowl. I think they match up well with New England, but New England's a great team. And it took all of Buffalo and all of Josh Allen to make that comeback. In just a few weeks ago when they did, they make that huge comeback, storm back from 21-0. It took all of them. And if he's not at 100% playing how Josh Allen can play, I think that's a recipe for disaster in the playoffs for Buffalo. On the NFC West, Bears, Niners. What a football game this was, I have to say. I mean, if I wasn't a Seahawks fan rooting for the Bears in this game, I would have been just fine watching. It was a great football game. It was a shootout. It starts with the Purdy pick six, and it was just an offensive masterclass by Kyle Shanahan and by Ben Johnson. It was fun to see. It was like, I mean, the game was constantly tied. It was Niners would score, Bears would answer. Ben Johnson had all the answers for Kyle in this game. And I thought Caleb Williams played a hell of a football game. He played one of his best games he's played all year, in my opinion. This wasn't a classic Bears script that we've seen this season. I mean, DeAndre Swift only has 9 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyle Monangai goes 8 for 38. No touchdowns. Caleb goes 5 for 18. This wasn't the hard-nosed Bears football, slow drive, work your way down, punch it in. No. This was Caleb Williams through the air, making it happen without Rome Odunze, without DJ Moore at full strength. DJ Moore had 1 reception for 7 yards. He's making that. Luther Burden, the 2 rookies. You got to love this if you're Ryan Poles. The 2 rookies, Luther Burden, 8 for 138, 1 touchdown. Colston Loveland, 6 for 94, 1 touchdown, 10 targets. This is the monster that Colston Loveland can be on the outside. He's a great receiving tight end. And Caleb was dropping. There was a play in the 4th quarter, I believe, when on one of those drives, it wasn't the last drive, when he throws this beautiful layered throw with touch and depth on the throw. That's what we've wanted to see from Caleb Williams. We know he can throw the deep ball well, which he did multiple times this game. The touchdown to Loveland, the touchdown to Luther. The one to Loveland was perfect. It's a hard count. He gets a free play, makes it happen, shucks it to him. We know he can do that, but that just those intermediate throws is what Caleb Williams has struggled with. And him making those throws, if you're a Bears fan, you lose the game, whatever. You had an outside shot at the 1 seed. It's gone. But this shows you can hang with anyone. And you might see this Niners team, depending on what happens this week in the playoffs. And with Caleb Williams, with Ben Johnson, the way they're playing right now, the way Ben's calling games, you are going to be in every football game. And that's all you can ask for as a Bears fan. Obviously, the defense is going to be the problem. But the thing is, we've known this defense isn't good. They're a year away. They haven't been healthy. They haven't got Kyler Gordon. The corners are banged up. The linebackers are banged up. The D-line gets pushed around. Christian McCaffrey has a monster day, 23 carries, 140 yards, 1 touchdown here. But they rely on turnovers, and they just, quite frankly, haven't been able to stop teams' long drives. They get the pick 6, and they get unlucky with the penalty in the red zone when Purdy throws that pick. But just not good enough from the defensive side. And it was never going to be that way. No one expected the Bears to be 11-5 winning this division this year. So it's not like it's a failed roster construction standpoint there. But that's what it's going to be. The Bears are going to have to win these shootouts. They're going to have to trust their quarterback and their offensive coordinator, their play caller, and trust these receivers and offensive guys to make plays, because that's going to be what wins them games coming down the stretch. And for the Niners, This offense has been unstoppable. This offense has been unstoppable the last few weeks. Purdy's been playing some of the best football I've seen Brock Purdy play, and I hate Brock Purdy. But they're coming up against a buzzsaw this week. They're coming to face the best offense they've seen since week 1. That's not even a crazy thing to say. I mean, they faced the Texans like 7 weeks ago, but I don't even think that wasn't even Brock in that game. That was Mac. So this is the best offense that Purdy's played the best defense that Purdy's played since week 1. This is the Seahawks offense that's going to need to take advantage of this bad Niners defense because it's a bad defense. And it's not bad because of scheme or play. It's banged up. I'm not ducking out of anything. There's no Warner. There's no Bosa. There's no a lot of guys. But they need to take advantage of that. There's no excuse for you not to score points on this team. There's no excuse for Clint Kubiak to not score points on this team. Lenore saying after the game he wants JSN one-on-one to shadow him. Please do. I hate I hate a lot of guys on this team. But we'll see what happens next week. Monday Night Football. Rams, Falcons. What a weird one. I was going in this game, I'm expecting the Rams just to blow them out. Rams coming off a loss, Stafford coming off a loss, coming off a 37-point explosion for them. Like a great day on offense against one of the best defenses in the entire league. And they go out there and stink it up. Matthew Stafford was horrible. 3 interceptions in this game. The defense got pushed around. The defense has been poor the last few weeks, and that's not even crazy to say. They give up 31 to the Panthers. They give up 17 to the Cardinals, whatever. They give up 34 to the Lions, 37 to the Seahawks, and 27 to the Falcons. The defensive line got pushed around. Bijan Robinson, 200 total scrimmage yards. 22 carries, 195 yards, 1 touchdown. He breaks off a 93-yarder. Algier, 10 for 23. Kirk Cousins didn't have to do much, 13 and 20, 126, 1 touchdown. But this was the Atlanta Falcons' Jeff Ulbrich-led defense, and this was Bijan Robinson. The first half from Los Angeles on offense was very, very poor. Just sluggish. 3 and out. They turn over on downs on 4th and 1 when they don't block the edge. And I know they have guys banged up. There's no Dotson in the run game. They're missing a tackle still, I believe. But there's no excuse. These picks Stafford throwing was bad. He misses Mumfield over the middle high, oversails and pick 6 to Jesse Bates. The next one, first play of a drive, you get the ball in the 50, you have good field goal position. Field position. And he takes a deep shot deep. There was a linebacker on Smith. It was Ellis, I believe. And yes, he has a linebacker one-on-one, but the safety's right there. And he leaves the ball in the air too long. He hangs it off from the middle of the field. It's not even like it was a good throw. The safety made a good play on. And he throws a pick. And then the one at the end of the game, quite frankly, should have been a pick 6. They got bailed out on this one. They're down 7 after all the momentum's in their favor. They're down 21-0 at halftime. They get 3. Falcons get 3. They score. And then Jared Verse makes a monster play to keep them in the game because the Falcons are going to kick a field goal and go up 17. And Verse blocks it. Amazing play. Takes it to the house, bounces up into his hands. But then they get a stop. They're down 7 with the ball, and it's 4th and 2. And Stafford just gets red, and the guy undercuts it. I believe it was Watts, the second interception of the entire game. And he's running up the sideline. He steps out of bounds. They don't blow it dead. So people from the sideline are running on the field. They hit a ref, and that penalty moves the Falcons back and makes them in a position where they're not in field goal range where they would have been and forces a punt. And it gives the Rams a chance to go down and score, which they do. Puka makes a play on a screen pass. And then the defense gets pushed around. Kyle Pitts moves for the chains for 11 yards. And then Bijan is making something out of nothing all day. There's multiple plays where Verse is in the backfield, Turner's in the backfield. And this is a TFL on 99% of running backs in the league, and he makes one cut. And the linebackers, I don't know what the linebackers are doing. They're all running they're all in pursuit. He cuts back, finds some sort of gap, and makes a 2-yard loss into a 5-yard gain or a 93-yard gain in some cases. And Puka almost and then the last drive, there's multiple plays in the last drive. Puka almost makes the catch of the century. I thought that would have been better than the Odell catch, and it kind of sucks. He caught the ball. He loses control of it for a little bit, but he doesn't hit the ground. There's some the ball breaks from his hand for a second, and he's all of a sudden out of bounds. It wasn't a catch, but amazing. But on the first play of that drive, there's 24 seconds to go, and Stafford has Smith wide open on a corner route. All he has to do is put in some air under it, and he might score a touchdown. That might be the game. And Matthew Stafford just misses him. And now this is 2 games in the last 4 weeks where Stafford's just been a little off. That Carolina game and this game against Atlanta. And now all of a sudden the Rams, they were in a spot where they had to win out to secure the 5 seed no matter what happens in the Seahawks game. And now that they lost this game, the loser Well, I know if the Seahawks lose, they will be the 5 seed going to Carolina or going to Tampa Bay, which is massive because that means the Rams and the Eagles are going to have to face off. And that's a good football team that a lot of teams don't want to face. You don't want to have to face the Rams. You want to have to face the Eagles. One of those teams is going home in round one. So that's massive for the rest of the NFC. It's massive for teams like the Bears, obviously the Seahawks, the 49ers. That's big for all of them because that's a really good team going out in the wildcard round and setting up that's a failure of a season for whichever team's metrics that is that ends up in. McVay says that he's going to play his starters in week 18. We'll see. Maybe just kind of keep them sharp a little bit, play a drive or two, but no real reason to. But yeah, they need Devontae healthy. I think he could have went this week. They're resting for the playoffs. They don't need to get banged up because it obviously showed without him, this offense is much different. Puka didn't have a great day, 5 for 47. He has a big touchdown taken away due to a penalty, but the Rams all of a sudden have lost 2 games in a row. They've lost 3 out of the last 5. The way to beat the Rams, which was the scariest team the entire year, a team that no one wanted to play, this odds-on Super Bowl favorite for majority of the year, some cracks have been shown in this team, and the cracks have been shown. The game plan of beating them has been put out there. They have been very susceptible to the run game. Obviously, K9 goes for 100 yards last week. That first Rams game, the Seahawks ran for 100 yards as a team as well. The run defense has been kind of exposed in the last few weeks, and that's a welcoming sight for the rest of the NFC. All right, to wrap it up, we got 4 college football playoff games coming up on first one tonight after this episode drops, and the next 3 on New Year's Day. So we'll start with the first one. We got Miami, Ohio State, and a 9.5-point spread. Miami taking on Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, indoor in a dome. And this is going to be a gritty game. This is kind of the type of opponent that Ohio State has struggled with this year. Texas, week 1, only score 14 points, a good Texas defensive line. And the offense struggles. They struggle. And Indiana, one of the best fronts in the entire country, and they only score 10 points, lose 13-10, struggle in the trenches, struggle to get those big 4th and 1, 3rd and 1 plays going, and they struggle. And then even in the Michigan game, a game that was close for majority of the first half, Michigan team that's solid in the trenches. They're not the Michigan of old in the trenches, but they're a good. That was the way that team was built. That team was built in the front, on the front lines. So this Miami defense poses some trouble for Ohio State, in my opinion. And I don't think they're going to win purely because I don't think that Carson Beck has the ability, the playmaking, the big time playability to win a football game like this against a really good Ohio State defense. I'm not sliding the Ohio State defense, like comparing them to Miami in that sense. But I think this is a 10-point spread feels a little bit big here. I think this is a game that could be close. Maybe Ohio State scores at the end to make it a 2-score game, or maybe they make it 10. But I think that this spread is bigger than the game inside the trenches will tell, because the way that this game against Texas A&M just played off, if you're Miami, was a really good Texas A&M offense, one of the best offenses in the entire league. Marcel Reed, one of the best quarterbacks during the entire season across the country. And they held them to 0 touchdowns. They shut down the run game. I mean, just looking at these stats from the A&M offense, Marcel Reed for 237 yards and 2 interceptions. They only have 89 total rushing yards as a team. Marcel Reed has 15 carries for 27 yards. No one else has more than 7 carries. Ruben Owens 7 for 21, and Le'Veon Moss 7 for 15. The way Miami wins this game and stays in this game is relying on Mark Fletcher. Do not make Carson Beck have to be the hero in this game. He was 14-20 in that first game against A&M, a solid A&M defense, 103 yards, 1 touchdown, to Malachi Tony, a little flip pass. But you don't have the dudes on the outside to match up against this Ohio State secondary and make these big plays happen. They can happen, but that's not the way you're going to win the game. You need to rely on Mark Fletcher. Mark Fletcher had 17 carries for 172 yards in this game against A&M. He needs to have upward of 20 carries if they want to win this game. He needs to continue that game on the ground. And it needs to be a slow game. These need to be long Miami Hurricanes drives. They need to end with points. They need to kick the ball well. If their kicker misses 3 field goals, they're not going to win this game. They're not going to stay in this game. The special teams need to play well. They maybe need to force a special teams turnover. That's their recipe to winning this game, is winning it dirtily, winning it in the special teams game, winning it on the ground. Make it gross. Make it gritty. Stop the Ohio State run game. Make them have to force. I understand that they have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Make them force it down the field. Like, you do not wanna get Ohio State into letting them know they can run the ball with ease. Stop the run and force Julian Sain to throw the ball. Let that front get after him and get and pressure him a little bit to make him uncomfortable, maybe force a few turnovers for the redshirt freshman. That's how I think how that game needs to play out for Miami. I like this game in Miami's favor a little bit. I don't think they win, but I think this game is closer than people think. Give me 24-17 Ohio State in this one. Up next, we got the morning game, Texas Tech, Oregon. And this is one that's been this line has been staring at me all day. I'm not really sure what to think of it. Oregon's the 5 seed, Texas Tech's the 4 seed. Oregon's 2.5-point favorites. I feel like Oregon is the better team. Oregon should be the better team. Oregon should win this game, but Texas Tech is they just play really good all-around team football. And their one loss this season was to Arizona State, 26-22. They didn't have their starting quarterback. They kind of just suffocate teams. The defense is very good. They have one of the best linebackers in the entire country. Jacob Rodriguez, I think he should have been a Heisman finalist. One of the best overall players in the entire country. They're just all around. They have multiple guys to get carries. Cameron Dickey had 18 carries against BYU. Jacoby Williams had 15 for 80. Dickey had 18 for 72 and 1 touchdown. Their quarterback, Morton, is solid. He doesn't really turn the ball over. They can match up against Oregon. And it's a great roster. Obviously, we know that's the oil money roster. That I don't even know how many millions of dollars this roster is worth. But their quarterback's finally 100%. He wasn't 100% in the last few weeks of the season. He wasn't practicing full weeks. He is now. I think that this is a good spot for Tech. And obviously, this is coming from bias. I don't like Oregon. But Dante Moore has shown in times he can put the ball into harm's way. He can. And even this James Madison game, this game was closer than the score was. And the score was 51-34, but they got 31-4 points than James Madison Dukes. And in the first half, there was drives where James Madison was moving the ball, missed the field goal, ended in the field goal. If they score a touchdown to one of those, they're not going to win the football game, but they can make it closer than it looks. I think that this Oregon defense and team is susceptible to a bit of a come down. And if you can hold them to under 25 points and make it a bit of an ugly game, I kind of like Texas Tech here. I like Dante Moore to put the ball in the harm's way once or twice, and Texas Tech has to take advantage of that. I don't want to talk about the Huskies, but in that Huskies game, the first drive of the game, I believe there was a 3rd and 9 when Dante Moore's going over the middle and he misses him. And it's a diving interception, and it bounces off a safety's hands. But those are the plays you have to make if you want to knock off Oregon. They're not going to make that many mistakes. When they do put the ball in harm's way, whether it's 1, 2, 3 times a game, they have to make that count and they have to win the turnover battle. Tech isn't going to win this game, I don't think, in a fancy shootout, even though they scored a lot of points this entire season. They have. I don't think that's how they win here. I think it needs to be ugly. They need to keep it low scoring. Force a Dante Moore turnover, make it ugly like that Iowa game that Oregon played, except you can come out on top because you have more firepower on offense than Iowa. I think that Tech wins this game. Give me 28-24, Texas Tech. Up next, the Rose Bowl. I got to say, I'm really excited for this game. You got Alabama, Indiana. It might be raining. It never rains at the Rose Bowl. It might be raining in this game, which would be interesting. I think it might favor Indiana a little more. Alabama's the team that struggled to run the ball. They won that game against Oklahoma somehow. They go down 17-0, and they roar back. The pick six from Mateer kind of killed them. But it's weird to say I like Alabama here. Indiana loses their best lineman on their team in the postgame celebration against Ohio State. Everyone's celebrating that win against Ohio State like it's over. That's the natty. Like, it was a great win, but they got a long way to go. They got to win 3 games to win a national championship. I feel like a lot of teams, people are singing their praises. Alabama has the athletes to match up with them on the defensive side. Definitely. I don't think this is a game where Alabama is completely overmatched on the Indiana offense can overpower the Alabama defense. Like, they have dudes. They have dudes in the interior. They have dudes in the secondary to prevent those long plays from Mendoza to the receivers. Something about Bama here, man. Kalen DeBoer has played in the big games. It feels like there's more pressure on Indiana here. Obviously, Signetti, they've been kind of just this huge revelation in the last few years. A lot of people love them. They not let everyone down. They kind of got embarrassed last year in the playoff. And now this first game, this is no pushover. This is not a lower level team than you. This is a team that has the athletes like Ohio State. This is going to be a dogfight. This is if its game is also a game that verges on Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson was great. He was going to be looking like a perennial top 15 draft pick the whole first half of the season, and he's teetered off. And there's rumors of a back injury. He's had a few weeks to get healthy. This is a game for him to prove, rain or not, that he is an NFL quarterback. I don't know that he is, but he can prove it. He has the receivers to do it. They need Ryan Williams to show up. Ryan Williams has like 100 yards receiving total in the last few games. Jermaine Bernard needs to show up. The freshman number one, I'm blanking on his name right now. He needs to show up. But they can. I like them in this game. And this needs to be it was Horton, Isaiah Horton, who I'm talking about. Latsir Brooks and their quality receiver on that team too. Number 17. They struggled to run the football. I don't know that they're going to be able to run the football against the Indiana front, but them not having that defensive lineman is massive. But I like DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer is a big game coach. And if you go back to early in the season, they beat Georgia on the road. They beat Vanderbilt at home. They beat Missouri on the road in a hostile environment. He knows how to get his guys up for a big game. And I understand Cignetti's this big, huge thing around college football right now, but I like Kalen DeBoer in a playoff game, in a win or go home game, to get his guys ready. This is a huge Ryan Grubb game. I want Ryan Grubb to scheme the shit out of this game. He needs to pull everything out of his bag, all the tricks up his sleeve. He needs to do it. And I trust them. I don't know what it is. I like Alabama in this game. Maybe it's Alabama. I think it's just DeBoer. He's played in the big games before. He's played in the Natty. Give me Alabama to win this one in a fun Rose Bowl thriller. Give me 31-28, Alabama, with Indiana missing a kick to tie the game to end it. Last one, Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin, obviously. Pete Golding sitting as the head coach. Former defensive coordinator. Trinidad Chambliss still there. Georgia's 6.5-point favorites. I'm not going to complicate this one. I think Georgia wins this football game. The Ole Miss story, kind of weird, kind of sucks. They beat Tulane by a lot. And they're running into a really good Georgia Bulldogs football team. This is the Sugar Bowl. I just think Georgia is one of the best teams in the entire country. I think that they have them in the margins. They beat them 43-35 last game when Lane was coaching at, I believe that was that in Athens? It was in Athens. And they squeaked it out. Almost had them. I thought Kiffin coached a hell of a game. Chambliss played a hell of a game. And it didn't really matter last week against Tulane, but not having Lane Kiffin calling this game is massive. It's a completely different thing. The way he calls games, the way he schemes games, the way he sets up games, game plans for teams is night and day compared to the guy who's doing it right now. I believe I'm not sure on the last name or the first name for sure, but let me just check real quick. Ole Miss play caller. What do we got? Charlie Weiss Jr. Yeah, I knew it was a Weiss. Obviously, he's been the guy. He was the offensive coordinator, but he's not calling the plays under Lane. But I think that I don't know. I think that Georgia wins this game. I think Gunnar Stockton's he's been shown the ability to play in big games. I think they're going to rely on Nate Frazier. They're going to rely on the run game. They're going to stop the big plays from Ole Miss, stop their run game, because I think that was the big thing in the last game. And Ole Miss's success, what it's been so far this season, is them relying on Kawan Lacey. And Georgia shut him down last time they played. He only had 12 carries, 31 yards. Trinidad Chambliss was their leading rusher with 9 carries for 42 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. If Georgia stops the run again, I don't expect Ole Miss to be able to hang in the passing game. Gunnar Stockton played really well that last game. He had that clutch touchdown drive to end it. I think Georgia wins this game. 6.5, I think they cover. I think they end up winning by around 10. Give me Georgia give me 31-17. I think they win by 2 scores, and they advance and set up a great college football semifinal. What would that be? That would give us Texas Tech. If my predictions are correct, if it's Texas Tech, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, that'd be a mammoth game. Texas Tech, Bama, that'd be kind of the one no one really expected. I hope Texas Tech wins. There's one thing I could decide, it'd just be that Oregon loses, because their path to here is kind of the most favorable. If you're looking at all these teams, no offense to any of them, if you're Oregon, you want to play Texas Tech, I think, just because they haven't proven it. It's the Big 12 team, the Big 12, the weakest Power 4 team in the country. Who knows, though? This is the $20 million roster in Texas Tech, so we'll see. Hopefully the games live up to the hype. Obviously, last round, we had the A&M game. The Bama game was fun, but the other one's just kind of snoozer. So hopefully live up to the hype. Looking forward to it. Hope to get an episode out Friday. Going to record a big Seahawks preview, dive into that game, get some stats. I'm going to record that probably Wednesday or Thursday, and then react to the games that happen on Thursday and hopefully get that out for you guys Friday. So thank you for listening. Sorry for the one episode last week. Hope to get another one out Friday. Sorry for the hiatus. And if you enjoyed, give the episode a review, share it with a friend, give it a download, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.